The awakening of Earth's guardian. The emergency lights bathed the abandoned lunar facility in crimson as systems long dormant surged to life. Dust particles, undisturbed for centuries, danced in the newly activated atmosphere processors. In the central chamber, a single cryopod hummed with increasing intensity, its frosted surface beginning to clear as ancient protocols executed their final commands. Admiral Victoria Thorne opened her eyes for the first time in 237 years. Her first breath was agony, lungs remembering their purpose after more than 2 centuries of stasis. The neural interface at her temple pulsed with blue light as it synchronized with her consciousness, flooding her mind with status reports and system diagnostics. Protocol Lazarus initiated, announced a synthetic voice. Contingency parameters met. Earth Defense Command compromised. Civilization status subjugated. Thorne's fingers trembled as she wiped condensation from her face. The words echoed in her mind, impossible yet undeniable. Subjugated, the nightmare scenario they had prepared for but hoped would never come. Display current date, she commanded, her voice rough from disuse. October 17, 2463, replied the facility's eye. 237 years, 148 days since emergency stasis activation. Thorne closed her eyes, absorbing the shock. More than 2 centuries gone. Everyone she had known, her fellow commanders, her family, her world, transformed or destroyed by the passage of time. "Show me Earth," she ordered. The chamber's walls shimmered, transforming into a view screen displaying a real-time image of the blue planet. At first glance, it appeared unchanged. The same swirling cloud patterns, the same oceans. But as the image zoomed in, the differences became clear. Massive alien structures dotted the continents, their architecture distinctly non-human. Orbital platforms encircled the planet like a cage of steel and energy. Ships of unfamiliar design moved through the atmosphere with impunity. "Identify occupying force," Thorne said, her jaw tightening. "The Galactic Hegemony," replied the AI, "a collective of 7 advanced species that approach Earth in 2226 with demands for immediate integration. When Earth refused unconditional surrender, the hegemony initiated what they termed cultural recalibration. Human military forces were dismantled. Population centers were restructured. Historical records were altered to facilitate integration." Thorne's hands curled into fists. "And humanity? What became of us?" "Humans now serve as a client species within the hegemony. Advanced technology is restricted. Space travel requires hegemony authorization. Reproductive rates are regulated to maintain sustainable population levels. The species survives but no longer determines its own destiny." A cold fury built within Thorne's chest. This was precisely what Project Lazarus had been designed to prevent. The complete subjugation of humanity, the theft of their autonomy and future. "Status of Project Prometheus," she asked, referring to humanity's ultimate contingency plan. "Dormant but intact. The hegemony never discovered the network. All systems remain operational." For the first time since awakening, Thorne allowed herself a grim smile. The hegemony believed they had conquered humanity, but they had only seen what Earth had wanted them to see. The real power, the true weapons, had remained hidden, waiting for this very moment. "Prepare the Shadow Blade for launch," she ordered, referring to the stealth vessel concealed within the facility, "and initiate full neural integration." "Warning," the AI responded. "Full neural integration with current Earth defense systems may cause psychological trauma due to temporal displacement. Recommended gradual." "Override," Thorne interrupted. "We don't have time for gradual. Execute full integration now." Her neural implant flared with blinding intensity as 237 years of accumulated data flooded her consciousness. She gasped, her back arching as her mind expanded to encompass centuries of surveillance recordings, intelligence reports, and system diagnostics. The pain was excruciating but fleeting, replaced by a clarity that transcended human perception. Thorne saw everything. Every hegemony outpost, every suppressed human rebellion, every act of quiet resistance. She witnessed how the alien coalition had methodically dismantled human culture, replacing it with a narrative of grateful salvation rather than conquer. Most painfully, she saw how many humans had come to believe this narrative, accepting their place as second-class citizens in a galaxy that feared their potential. When the integration completed, Thorne stood changed. No longer merely human, she had become the living embodiment of Earth's defense network, the interface between humanity's past strength and its future liberation. Admiral, initial diagnostics indicate your neural pathways have successfully adapted to the integration, the AI reported. You now have access to all Earth Defense Initiative protocols and systems, including the Phantom Network, she asked, referencing the hidden quantum communication system that linked dormant human military assets scattered throughout the solar system and beyond. Affirmative. Thorne approached a seemingly blank wall and placed her palm against it. The wall dissolved, revealing a chamber containing what appeared to be a suit of armor, midnight black with subtle blue energy patterns flowing across its surface. "Prepare the Wraith armor," she commanded. As the armor opened to receive her, Thorne reflected on the irony of her situation. The hegemony believed they had neutralized humanity's warriors, unaware that the most dangerous one had been sleeping, waiting for the moment when Earth's need was greatest. The armor sealed around her body with a series of soft clicks, interfaces connecting directly with her neural implant. Information flooded her enhanced consciousness, weapon systems, tactical analyses, stealth capabilities far beyond anything the hegemony possessed. "Time to wake up the rest of the sleepers," she said. The hegemony mining colony on Uraba had been established 178 years ago, after the aliens discovered the vast reserves of rare elements beneath the moon's icy crust. Now it was home to over 3,000 humans, working in conditions that would have horrified their free ancestors. Lin Kato adjusted his environmental suit as he descended into mining shaft K-14, carefully avoiding the attention of the Vexlar overseer. The insectoid alien's compound eyes missed little, and the punishment for deviating from assigned duties was severe. "New guy coming down," warned his comm unit, Elise's voice, tight with concern. "Hegemony Inspector?" Kaito asked, his heart rate increasing. "No, a transfer from Ganymede. But something's off about him." His documentation cleared all checkpoints too easily. Kaito frowned. The hegemony's bureaucracy never made anything easy, especially for humans transferring between facilities. Effortless clearance meant either high-level hegemony approval, unlikely for a mere miner, or sophisticated forgery. "Keep an eye on him," Kaito replied. "I'll finish my shift and meet you at the usual place." 8 hours later, covered in mineral dust and bone-weary, Kaito made his way to the hidden alcove where a small group of trusted miners gathered to share the contraband Earth history that was forbidden under hegemony law. To his surprise, the newcomer sat at the center of the group, speaking in a low, intense voice. "Been telling you lies for generations," the man was saying. "Earth wasn't saved by the hegemony. It was conquered. Humanity didn't welcome alien guidance. We fought until we couldn't fight anymore." Eliza noticed Kaito and waved him over. "This is Kaito," she said. "If you're really who you claim to be, he's the one you want to talk to. He's been collecting the old stories longer than anyone." The stranger turned, studying Kaito with eyes that seemed to see through him. "The Eclipse contingency," he said. "What does it mean to you?" Kaito froze. The phrase was from his grandmother's stories, words passed down through generations, their meaning lost but their importance emphasized. "How do you know those words?" he demanded. "Because I helped create the protocol," the stranger replied. "My name is Commander Darius Shaw, Earth Defense Initiative. I've been in cryostasis for over 2 centuries, waiting for the signal that would wake me." He leaned forward. "That signal came 3 days ago, sent by Admiral Victoria Thorne herself." Disbelief warred with desperate hope in Kaito's chest. "Admiral Thorne is a myth," he said. A story we tell children about humanity's last stand. Shaw smiled thinly. All myths have their basis in truth. Admiral Thorne was very real, is very real, and she's activating the Prometheus Protocol. He glanced around at the gathered miners. She needs people who remember what it means to be free. People like you. Even if I believed you, Kaido said carefully, what could a handful of miners do against the hegemony? They control everything. The ships, the weapons, the orbital platforms. They control what we allowed them to see, Shaw corrected. Before the invasion, Earth hid its most advanced technology, scattered its best soldiers and scientists throughout the solar system in secret cryo facilities. We've been waiting, gathering intelligence through hidden systems for centuries. He tapped his temple, where a subtle blue light pulsed beneath his skin. And now we're waking up. Eliza looked skeptical. If you have all this secret technology, why reveal yourself to us? Why not just activate your super weapons and drive the hegemony away? Because technology alone won't free humanity, Shaw answered. We need something more powerful. We need humans who are willing to fight for their freedom, who remember what it means to determine their own destiny. His gaze returned to Kaido. Your grandmother didn't just pass down stories, did she? She gave you something to protect. Kaido's hand moved unconsciously to the small object he kept in a hidden pocket, a data crystal, passed through his family for generations with instructions never to reveal it to the hegemony. How did you know? He whispered. Because that's how the Prometheus Protocol was designed, Shaw explained. Key information distributed among trusted families, incomplete and seemingly meaningless until brought together. He extended his hand. May I? With trembling fingers, Kaido retrieved the crystal and placed it in Shaw's palm. The commander held it up, and the neural implant at his temple pulsed with increased intensity. The crystal responded, glowing with the same blue light. Data integrity confirmed, Shaw announced. Kaido, your family has been guarding 1/7 of the activation codes for the Europan defense grid. With this, we can access weapons that have been dormant beneath this moon's surface since before the hegemony arrived. Stunned silence fell over the group. You're telling us there's an entire weapon system under our feet? Eliza finally asked. And the hegemony never found it. They didn't know to look, Shaw replied. Earth's final defense wasn't about overwhelming force. It was about patience and deception. We hid our best technology in plain sight, disguised as harmless infrastructure or buried beyond scanning depth. He returned the crystal to Kaido. But we need more than weapons. We need people willing to use them. Kaido looked around at his fellow miners, men and women who had lived their entire lives under hegemony rule, who had been taught that humans were a violent, primitive species fortunate to receive alien guidance. Yet here they were, gathering in secret to remember their true history, preserving the stories of Earth's independence against all odds. If Admiral Thorne is really back, Kaido said slowly, if the legends about Earth's final contingency are true, what happens next? Shaw's expression hardened. Next, we show the hegemony why they were right to fear humanity's potential. We start here on Europa, and then we take back our solar system, world by world. His eyes met each of theirs in turn. The question is, are you with us? One by one, the miners nodded, determination replacing fear in their eyes. Kaido took a deep breath, feeling as though he stood on the precipice of history. What do you need us to do? The hegemony outpost on Titan was considered impregnable, a fortress of advanced alien technology dedicated to monitoring the outer planets for any sign of unauthorized human activity. Its security systems were the most sophisticated in the solar system, its garrison staffed by elite Vexillar warriors. No unauthorized vessel had ever penetrated its defenses. Until now. Admiral Thorne stood on the command deck of the Shadowblade, watching through the ship's quantum-linked sensors as Commander Shaw led the miners-turned-rebels through the service tunnels beneath the outpost. Her wraith armor hummed with barely contained energy, adapting to her biochemistry and enhancing her natural abilities beyond human limits. "They've reached the central processing node," reported the ship's eye. "Commander Shaw is initiating data extraction." Thorne nodded, her enhanced mind simultaneously monitoring a dozen different operations across the solar system. Other sleepers had awakened, scientists, soldiers, strategists preserved like her through centuries of subjugation, now activating cells of resistance on every human settlement. The plan was unfolding with precision born of centuries of patient preparation. "Incoming transmission from Vexillar High Command," the AI announced. "They're demanding identification from all vessels in Saturnian space." "Let them scan us," Thorne ordered calmly. "The Shadowblade's quantum field will return exactly the signature they expect to see." On Titan's surface, Shaw and his team had reached the outpost's classified archives, the repository of everything the hegemony knew about Earth's fall and humanity's subsequent history. "We're in," Shaw's voice reported through the quantum link. "Downloading the complete hegemony database. Admiral, you need to see this immediately. They've been lying about everything. About why they invaded. About what they feared." "Send it directly to my neural interface," Thorne commanded. The information flooded her consciousness. Classified hegemony reports, high command directives, the true history of first contact. As she absorbed the data, Thorne's expression hardened into cold fury. The hegemony hadn't invaded Earth because they feared human violence or unchecked expansion. They had come because their predictive algorithms had identified something far more threatening: human potential. Their models showed that within a mere century, unfettered human development would have produced technologies that would have rendered the hegemony obsolete. They hadn't conquered Earth to protect the galaxy from humanity. They had conquered it to protect themselves from obsolescence. "Admiral," Shaw's voice interrupted her thoughts. "The download is complete, but we've triggered a silent alarm. Vexillar security forces are converging on our position. Proceed to extraction point Delta," Thorne ordered. "We have what we need." As the rebels fought their way back through the facility, Thorne activated a secondary protocol within her neural interface. Throughout the outpost, hidden systems that had lain dormant for centuries began to wake, responding to commands encoded in her quantum signature. The hegemony believed they understood Earth technology, believed they had dismantled every weapon humans had created. They were wrong. "Prometheus subroutines activated," announced the Shadowblade's eye. "Titan defense grid coming online." Deep beneath the outpost, machines stirred. On the surface, structures the hegemony had classified as non-functional human ruins began to transform, revealing weapons of devastating power designed specifically to counter hegemony technology. "All personnel clear of the facility," reported Shaw. "We're proceeding to the rendezvous point." "Acknowledged," Thorne replied. "Initiating clean sweep protocol." The defenses she had activated locked onto every Vexillar life sign in the outpost, precision energy beams neutralizing the alien warriors with surgical precision. Simultaneously, quantum fields enveloped the facility's communication arrays, preventing any distress signal from reaching the wider hegemony. By the time Shaw and his team reached the extraction zone, the outpost had fallen silent, its alien occupiers neutralized, its secrets in human hands. As the Shadowblade descended to retrieve the rebels, Thorne reviewed the intelligence they had gathered. The picture it painted was both troubling and validating. The hegemony's grip on the solar system was far more tenuous than they projected. Resistance movements existed on every human world, lacking only the leadership and technology to become effective. The sleepers were providing both. Across the solar system, ancient defenses were awakening, hidden soldiers were emerging from cryostasis, and humans who had been taught to accept subjugation were remembering what it meant to be free. The hegemony had spent centuries dismantling what they believed was human military power. They were about to discover how wrong they had been. The first phase of the Prometheus Protocol was complete. Now it was time to take the fight to the heart of hegemony power. It was time to reclaim Earth. Reclamation and retribution. The Hegemony Council chamber on Mars had been designed to showcase alien superiority. Its soaring architecture incorporated elements from the 7 ruling species, deliberately excluding any human influence. In this room, the fate of Earth's solar system had been decided centuries ago. Now that decision faced its reckoning. The Vexillar High Commander X4X chittered nervously as emergency reports flooded in from across the system. His compound eyes reflected the holographic displays showing multiple hegemony outposts going dark simultaneously. The pattern was impossible. Coordinated attacks across vast distances with no warning, no demands, no apparent attackers. The human containment protocols have failed, announced Latha, the Merid representative whose mercury-like skin rippled with agitation. We have lost contact with our primary monitoring stations on Titan, Europa, and Ganymede. The lunar defense grid is experiencing unexplained malfunctions. Impossible, rasped Dorshal, the reptilian Saurian delegate. Human military capability was completely neutralized during the integration. Their remaining technology is constantly monitored. Then explain this, Latha demanded, projecting a new image into the center of the chamber. The hologram showed a ship unlike any in the Hegemony Registry, obsidian black, its design an elegant fusion of predatory purpose and mathematical precision. It moved through space with impossible speed, its energy signature fluctuating in patterns that defied analysis. This vessel penetrated our most advanced defense screen as if it wasn't there, Latha continued. It appeared in high Earth orbit 17 minutes ago, then vanished from our sensors. X4X's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme distress. Activate full military alert across all colonies. Lock down every human settlement. No communication, no transportation, no assemblies of more than 3 humans permitted. It's too late for that, said a new voice. The council members turned as one toward the chamber entrance. A human woman stood there, tall, her posture radiating military precision. She wore what appeared to be form-fitting armor that absorbed light rather than reflected it, making her edges seem to blur into shadow. Most disturbing was the neural implant at her temple, pulsing with blue energy in patterns no hegemony technology could produce. Admiral Victoria Thorne, she announced calmly. Earth Defense Initiative. X4X rose from his seat, towering over the human. How did you get in here? This chamber is protected by security systems based on technology you stole from Earth during the invasion. Thorne interrupted. Technology you only partially understood. She walked forward, each step measured and confident. Did you really believe you found all of our weapons, all of our secrets? Did your arrogance run so deep? Guards, called Dorshal, reaching for the alarm on his console. Thorne smiled thinly. They can't hear you. At this moment, every hegemony system in this facility is responding to a single override command, a backdoor we built into the technology you stole from us, a fail-safe for precisely this moment. Behind her, more humans entered the chamber, Commander Shaw, Kaito and his fellow miners, and others from across the system, all wearing the subtle blue neural interfaces that mark them as connected to whatever impossible network this human commander had activated. You're making a grave mistake, warned Latha. The hegemony controls 1,000 worlds. Even if you've somehow preserved some military capability, you cannot hope to stand against our combined might. We don't need to, Thorne replied. We only need to make the cost of keeping Earth too high for you to bear. She approached the central holographic projector and placed her hand upon it. The neural implant at her temple flashed, and the projector responded, displaying a new set of images. Hegemony warships immobilized in space, their systems locked down by unknown commands. Defense platforms turning their weapons inward toward hegemony facilities, and most shockingly, hidden human installations emerging from beneath the surfaces of moons and asteroids throughout the system. The Prometheus Protocol isn't a weapon, Thorne explained. It's a reclamation. For 237 years, while you congratulated yourselves on successfully subduing humanity, We were embedding ourselves into your technology, your infrastructure, your very way of life. Her eyes swept across the alien delegates. You can no longer separate your civilization from our influence. Zexforax sank back into his chair, compound eyes fixed on the holographic evidence of his civilization's vulnerability. What do you want? He asked, his voice subdued. The same thing we wanted when your ships first appeared in our skies, Thorn answered. Self-determination. Freedom to pursue our own destiny without interference. Your species cannot be trusted with autonomy, insisted Dorshal. Our predictive models were clear. Unfettered human development leads to catastrophic outcomes for established galactic civilizations. You mean it leads to competition you couldn't control, Thorn countered. You didn't invade Earth to protect the galaxy from humanity. You invaded because your models showed we would surpass you within a century. She turned to address the entire council. The truth is, you fear our potential. Your cultural recalibration was never about civilizing a violent species. It was about preventing an evolutionary competitor. Silence fell over the chamber as the aliens absorbed her words. How did you know? Meyer, Latha finally asked, silver skin rippling with surprise. We found your original directive, Shaw answered, stepping forward. Operation Evolutionary Firebreak. The complete subjugation of humanity, not because of what we had done, but because of what your models predicted we might become. The models were correct, Zexforax said defensively. Unconstrained human innovation threatened the stability of the galactic order. We acted for the greater good. You acted out of fear, Thorn corrected. And in doing so, you only ensured that your worst fears would eventually come true. She gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show the Shadow Blade in orbit around Earth. That ship represents technology we developed in secret while you thought us contained. Imagine what we might have accomplished if we'd been allowed to develop openly, in cooperation rather than subjugation. What happens now? Asked a previously silent member of the council, an ancient Taliesin whose feathered crest had dulled with age. Now you have a choice, Thorn replied. You can acknowledge humanity's right to self-determination and establish a new relationship based on mutual respect, or you can continue to treat us as a subject species. Her expression hardened. But be warned, the Prometheus Protocol has fully activated. Your ability to control this system relies entirely on our forbearance. Zexforax's mandibles clicked rapidly as he conferred with the other council members through their private communication channel. The aliens' body language betrayed their distress as they contemplated options that had suddenly become very limited. We will need assurances, the Vexillor finally stated. Guarantees that a liberated humanity will not seek vengeance against the hegemony. The only vengeance we seek is the right to determine our own future, Thorn answered. But you're not in a position to demand guarantees. Not anymore. As if to punctuate her words, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. On the holographic display, hegemony ships across the solar system were powering down, their command systems responding to protocols hidden centuries ago by human engineers anticipating this very day. Admiral, reported one of Thorn's officers, the Phantom Network is now at full operational capacity. All dormant Earth defense systems are online and awaiting your command. Thorn nodded acknowledgement before returning her attention to the council. I'm transmitting our terms now. You have 1 hour to accept them. After that, we take back our solar system by force. The ancient Taliesin counselor, Vossaren, requested a private audience with Admiral Thorn while the rest of the hegemony leadership debated their response. You've accomplished something remarkable, Admiral, the feathered alien said when they were alone. In all my centuries advising the council, I've never seen them so thoroughly outmaneuvered. It wasn't me, Thorn replied. It was the foresight of Earth's leaders centuries ago, and the courage of countless humans who preserved our true history despite hegemony re-education. Vassarin's head tilted thoughtfully. There's something you should know, he said. Something not in any database you could have accessed. His withered hand activated a personal data device, projecting the historical record Thorn had never seen. The decision to subjugate Earth was not unanimous. The projection showed a much younger Vossaren arguing passionately before the council, advocating for partnership with humans rather than domination. I recognized humanity's potential as an opportunity, not a threat, the Taliesin continued. I foresaw a future where human innovation complemented hegemony stability. His feathers ruffled with ancient regret. I failed to convince my colleagues. Why tell me this now? Thorn asked. Because the path forward requires understanding the past, Vossaren answered. The hegemony feared humanity because they couldn't imagine relating to evolutionary peers as anything but competitors. His eyes, milky with age, fixed on Thorn with surprising intensity. You've proven your species' remarkable capacity for strategic planning and patience. Now you must decide what kind of galactic neighbor humanity will be. Thorn considered the old alien's words. The Prometheus Protocol had been designed for liberation, not revenge, to secure humanity's freedom, not to establish dominance. We want partnership, she said finally, but it must be on equal terms. Vossaren nodded slowly. I will speak for your proposal in the council. There are others who have questioned our treatment of Earth over the centuries. His expression became solemn. But understand this, Admiral. There are hardliners who would rather destroy this system than relinquish control of it. Zexforax among them. We're prepared for that possibility, Thorn assured him. As if summoned by her words, Commander Shaw entered the chamber, his expression grim. Admiral, we've detected activation codes being transmitted to hegemony warships beyond the orbit of Neptune. They're mobilizing the 7th Fleet. Thorn's neural implant flashed as she accessed the Phantom Network, confirming Shaw's report. Zexforax wasn't waiting for negotiations to conclude. He was preparing a counterattack. It seems some of your colleagues have made their decision, she told Vossaren. I suggest you distance yourself from what happens next. The old Taliesin's feathers drooped with resignation. So it comes to conflict after all. A pity. Not if we end it quickly, Thorn replied. The bridge of the Shadow Blade hummed with activity as Thorn resumed command, her neural interface seamlessly connecting with the ship's systems. Status of the Hegemony 7th Fleet, she demanded. Accelerating toward inner system coordinates, reported Kato, who had proven to have a natural aptitude for the advanced systems of the Earth vessel. Their weapons are hot, and they're deploying fighter screens. They're targeting population centers, added Shaw, studying the tactical display. Standard hegemony protocol. Threatens civilian targets to force military capitulation. Thorn's expression remained calm, but her eyes burned with cold determination. They still think they're fighting the last war, she said. Activate the Chimera Protocol. Throughout the solar system, the hidden Earth Defense Network responded to her command. On distant moons, asteroids, and concealed orbital platforms, weapons designed specifically to counter hegemony technology powered up for the first time in centuries. On the tactical display, the approaching hegemony fleet appeared as a wave of red indicators. 50 capital ships, hundreds of support vessels, thousands of fighters, a force sufficient to subjugate a dozen worlds. They're launching long-range kinetic projectiles, Shaw announced. Impact trajectories suggest they're targeting major human settlements on Mars and the Jovian moons. Deploy countermeasures, Thorn ordered calmly. From concealed silos across the system, interceptor drones launched silently into space, their quantum drives allowing them to cross vast distances in moments. The hegemony weapons, effectively massive bullets accelerated to near-relativistic speeds, were designed to be unstoppable. But Earth had spent centuries preparing to stop them. The interceptors matched velocity with the incoming projectiles, generating localized distortion fields that diverted the weapons into harmless trajectories away from populated areas. On the bridge of the Shadow Blade, Thorn watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction as the hegemony's first attack failed completely. Now, she said quietly, show them what humanity can do when provoked. The Phantom Network transmitted her commands instantaneously to every Earth defense installation. Weapon systems that had lain dormant for centuries activated simultaneously, targeting the approaching hegemony fleet with precision that bordered on prescience. What followed wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. Quantum disruptors neutralized hegemony shields without damaging the vessels themselves. Precision targeting systems disabled weapons and propulsion, while leaving life support intact. Specialized electronic warfare suites penetrated alien computer systems, locking out commanding officers while leaving subordinates in control of only basic functions. Within 17 minutes, the pride of the Hegemony 7th Fleet hung motionless in space, completely neutralized without a single loss of life. "Open a channel to all Hegemony vessels," Thorne commanded. When the communication was established, she spoke with quiet authority. "This was a demonstration, not an attack. Had we wished to destroy your ships, they would already be debris fields. Instead, we've disabled your weapons and drives while leaving your crews unharmed." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. For centuries, the hegemony has justified its control of humanity by claiming we were too violent, too unpredictable to be trusted with advanced technology. Today we've proven that narrative false. We have the power to destroy you and have chosen restraint instead. Shaw stepped to her side, adding his voice to hers. "We're transmitting revised terms for hegemony withdrawal from Earth's solar system. You have 30 minutes to accept them, or we will be forced to demonstrate less restraint." As the communication ended, Kaito looked up from his console with an expression of wonder. "They're standing down," he reported. "The remaining hegemony ships are powering down weapons and signaling acceptance of our terms." A cheer began to build among the bridge crew, but Thorne raised a hand for silence. "It's not over yet," she cautioned. "Zexforax hasn't responded." "Admiral," called one of the communication officers, "we're receiving a transmission from the Mars Council chamber." "It's Counselor Vossaren." The elderly Talison's image appeared on the main view screen. Behind him, the council chamber appeared to be in chaos, with delegates arguing heatedly. "Admiral Thorne," Vossaren said urgently, "Zexforax has activated an emergency protocol. He's transmitted activation codes to something called the evolutionary firebreak device." Ha's expression darkened with recognition. "The EFD was mentioned in the classified files we recovered," he explained rapidly. "A weapon of last resort, designed to render the entire solar system uninhabitable to human life, while leaving it accessible to hegemony species." "Can you stop it?" Vossaren asked, his feathers trembling with distress. Thorne's mind raced through the tactical options, her enhanced consciousness evaluating and discarding possibilities faster than any unaugmented human could process. "We need the activation coordinates,"